Hello everyone, today's tutorial is on the Melody wallet. We're going to be making this fun little wallet. It has the silhouette side of a violin or other stringed instrument, and then it has the sound hole here. And then when you open it up, it has another violin silhouette with 3 card slots, and then the zipper pocket in the middle, and then a slip pocket behind that. You can cut this pattern by hand. It is a little easier if you have a cutting machine or a laser, just because it's a little intricate here, but you can do it by hand, and I'm going to show you here in a minute the best way to get this sound hole looking nice if you're cutting by hand. But before that, there is a template in the pattern. You're going to want to put the template on the wrong side of your fabric. It's in nice bold letters for you. You're going to want to put it on the wrong side of your fabric because you want the correct orientation of your silhouettes here. And then you're going to need your external or exterior, an interior, and a pocket piece. If you're cutting with your cutting machine or laser, all that will be cut out for you. You're going to have your exterior, interior, and pocket. If you're cutting by hand, follow the cutting chart in the pattern. And you'll need your zipper and you'll need your snaps. I have size 14 snaps. You can use size 20. I wouldn't go bigger than that. And I also recommend a fashion snap for this. It will open and close a little bit easier. You'll want some fabric glue. I like this fabric tack by Beacon. That's what I use for everything. If you are cutting by hand, you'll want some small snips and a seam ripper. And I'll show you what we're going to be doing with those here in a minute. So, however your pieces are being cut, get those started, and I will show you how we're going to get these sound holes in neatly by hand. Okay, this is the exterior template if you are cutting your pieces by hand. So you want to make sure that you place it on the wrong side of the fabric so that the orientation of your silhouette is correct. Go ahead and trace it, get it cut, make sure you trace your snap placement holes. You cut everything out. You'll want to have a hole punch, which I forgot to mention earlier, to punch out your snap placements. Like so. And then we have this sound hole here. Okay, so I have found, if you're going to be doing this by hand, the best way to do this is to start with your seam ripper. Okay, and on one of your straighter edges of this F here, I like to start right here at at the top of this triangle here. Go ahead and just place your seam ripper in, and very, very carefully just kind of make a little slice up. So now you have a starting point. You can do the whole thing with that, but it gets a little messy with threads. So I like to take this small pair of sharp snips that have nice pointy ends here, and then I will just cut around the rest of my sound hole. So when I come to these corners, I cut into the F just a little bit, making sure if I need to go past my line, I get inside the was going to be cut out. And it's just slow, small snips around this piece here. I'm actually going to start going the other direction because I like to come the other way with my curve there. So we're just going to go around carefully and slowly. There we have our sound hole. Okay. So we have nice even edges. I have a little thread here I'm going to snip off. There we go. Clean that up just a little bit. Okay. And there we are. You can get a little bit of fabric glue and put it around the edges to keep any fraying down, or you can get your lighter and burn those edges. I would recommend one or the other just to kind of help that from fraying, and also your silhouette edges as well. All right, so that's how you cut out your exterior by hand, and then I'll show you when we get to the interior how we're going to get everything to match nicely. Okay, we're moving into our pattern. We're going to start with prepping our zipper pocket for our wallet. If you have cut out with an SVG, you already have your zipper box cut. If you are cutting by hand, you're going to take your zipper pocket piece. I want you to measure in from the 7 3/8 sides. You're going to measure in what it says in the pattern, and then you're going to measure in from both sides and draw lines. Your zipper box will be slightly less than 5 3/4 because of the 1/8 size that your zipper pocket is. So that's why you want to measure in here and go ahead and place your lines. But it will be 1/2 inch wide. I'm sorry, height. So once you get your zipper box drawn, go ahead and cut that out. Once you have your zipper box cut, we're going to flip it over. You're going to have your zipper tape here. I like to use a size 3 zipper rather than a size 5, but a size 5 will work just as well. I just like the thinner profile of the size 3. You want to get your double-sided tape, add that to the edges of your zipper on both sides. And then we're going to center it in our zipper box. I pull off one side first, so I don't have to worry about both of them. And then I just place my zipper box on top of my zipper so that the zipper is centered. And I feel from the edges and kind of make sure that it's centered lengthwise as well. I just want them to be about the same. And then you want your zipper right there in the middle of your zipper box. So once I have one side down, I go ahead and take the tape from the other end and get that pressed down as well. We're going to secure the zipper by sewing around the zipper box about 1/8 of an inch or so away from the edge. Go ahead and leave your tails long at the beginning and the end, and we'll pull those through to get a nice clean edge. Okay, we're going to sew around our zipper box. You want to make sure to leave a long tail at the beginning and the end We're going to sew about 1/8 inch away from our edge. Now we'll pull these threads to the opposite side and tie them off, and then we'll set our zipper box or our zipper pocket aside for the moment while we move on to our exterior. Okay, I've pulled my threads through from my pocket to the wrong side and tied those off. We're going to set this aside for now. Next, we're going to take our our exterior piece. I'm going to zoom in just a little so you can see here. We're going to take our exterior piece here and we're going to mark where we will be sewing our card slot dividers in a few steps. But we're going to go ahead and mark them now while everything is flat, and we can do that easily. So you'll see that there's measurements to measure in from each side, and then there's a measurement for how long to make your line. That measurement is going to start here at your whatever, when you measure in, whatever that high point is or low point is, that's how long you're going to measure your line. So you have from your left and you have from your right. They are going to be different lengths just because of the silhouette. So once you have those lines drawn, we're going to put our male snaps in. I'm going to pause the camera and go over to my press to put my snaps in here. And you want to just put the male snaps in. You don't want to put anything down here on your other end. So only put the male snaps in for the moment. Okay, I got the snaps in. We're going to have them just on this side. Now we're going to work on getting the interior and the exterior together. If you have yours already cut out with a cutting machine or laser, you're going to move on to step 7 of this pattern, and you're just going to glue these pieces together, making sure that all the edges are lined up, your holes are in place, and your sound hole is all nice and even. If you were cutting by hand, you're going to do it a little differently. Go ahead and turn your exterior to the back, and you're going to measure down 8 inches, which I need to do. Hold on just a moment. Okay, sorry. So how I like to do this is I like to place this on my cutting board, line up my straight edge with one of the lines on my cutting board. And because this silhouette is not going to be straight across, I get my highest point, which is going to be this rounded edge here, and line that up on, like, I don't know, say the 18 mark. And then I measure down 8 inches from there. So that way, if you try to measure down from each corner, it's going to be different. So you want to place it on your cutting board, get this highest point at a whatever mark you want, and then measure 8 inches from there. I found that to be the easiest way. From here, you're going to get your interior piece, and you're going to line up your interior at that mark you just drew. Get your edges all nice and straight. You can either put a little bit of glue on this to kind of hold it in place, or you can use clips. At the moment, I'm going to use clips. I just have to get a couple. Here we go. So that it doesn't move around on you. And once you have that, you're going to flip it back over to the exterior side. Well, there we go. Now you're going to want to trace your sound hole. Don't forget your snap placement holes, and then trace your silhouette onto the back of your interior. We do it this way because you know that you never cut things exactly the same. So if you go ahead and cut your exterior, you can use that as your template. And then hopefully you'll have a lot less trimming to do with your interior and exterior. So trace in your sound hole. Make sure you trace your snap placements here. Okay. Now, if you glued it, you can just like fold this part back and cut that out. I tend to still like to be able to maneuver things without having to go around other things, so that's why I use clips here. Now, you're going to go ahead and cut that out, punch your holes, and cut out your sound hole here in the same manner that you cut here. Once you have that done, there probably will still need to be a little bit of trimming, but it'll hopefully be closer if you've traced it using this as your template. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to just use my already cut pieces here. And we're going to glue these together. You don't want to use a lot of glue. You just kind of want to get it set in place, because when you fold it, it will shift slightly, and you want to allow that shift to happen. So I like to get a nice amount here at this bottom edge, because that's going to stay in place. And then I go around all these top edges and the sides, and I make sure to get these little points for sure, because those are a little harder to make sure you've sewn down. And then I also make sure I get really well around this sound hole, because I don't want that shifting when we start moving and bending things. And then I just put just a little bit here in the middle. Okay. And we're just going to put them wrong sides together. Make sure everything lines up nice and even. Give it a good press around your sound hole, around your top edge here to get everything secured. Give it a good press here at this bottom edge. Okay. Now, if you're using a slower drying glue, you can give it a few minutes to let that set. Once you're ready and once everything's set, we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to just sew right along this bottom edge of the interior piece, to keep everything held together once we start getting things folding. Okay, we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from our interior at bottom edge here. I'm going to leave a long tail at the beginning of the end and tie off my threads. Okay, I'm going to pull my threads through to the interior side and get those tied off. Alright, I pulled through my threads, tied them off here at these corners. Now we're going to move into our final assembly section. So you will need your pocket piece and your main body here. Take your pocket piece and fold it in half, lining up those bottom edges, and go ahead and just put one clip here on each side. So make sure it's all nice and even. Then you're going to line it up along that bottom edge of the interior. And go ahead and clip that into place as well. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be sewing our dividers for our credit card slots. So this is where it gets a little, not tricky, but just you have to, you know, pay attention. Fold up this bottom edge that has your snaps and then your marked lines as well. And what you're going to do is you're going to clip this this piece here to only the top layer of your pocket. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip it and I'll show you here. All right. So you only want it clipped to that top front portion of your pocket. The rest of it is going to remain unclipped from this credit card area. You're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it's pulled up tight, everything's lined up, and you're only going to clip it to that front portion of your pocket. All right, now unclip the rest of it and it's gonna just all unfold, just like that. So you're going to have your pocket unfolded, going over here, your main body going the other direction, and you see only this credit card portion is going to be clipped to the front portion of the pocket. I didn't mention it, I should have. You want to make sure that your zipper is going to be closing to the left or whichever direction you want it. I close mine to the left. So make sure that's going the direction that you want. Now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to just top stitch down these lines that we drew so we have our divided credit card pockets. Okay, we're going to sew our credit card pocket dividers or divides using the lines that we drew a couple sections ago. We're going to start here at the top, and I like to do a back stitch here at the top on both sides or on both lines, and then I leave a long tail here at the bottom. But I do like to do a back stitch here because this is where the credit cards are going to be going in and out, and I want that nice and strong right there. Okay, there are our credit card pocket dividers. I'm going to pull these through to the wrong side and clip those off, and then we'll get finished getting it all folded back together. Okay, so now we have our credit card dividers here sewn in. Now we're going to get everything sewn back together, starting with the pocket. So go ahead and flip this over and fold your pocket back together, wrong sides together. Get that bottom edge all lined up and clip it in place. Okay, we're going to sew the bottom edge of the pocket closed. So the easiest way to do that is to flip your pocket up so you only see this bottom edge and fold your main body out of the way. So we're going to go to the sewing machine. We're going to sew along this bottom edge here to close the bottom of our pocket. Okay, I added a few extra clips here along the bottom of my pocket just to keep everything even. You can go ahead and backstitch at the beginning and the end here. This bottom edge of the pocket is not going to be seen by anything, so you don't have to keep it looking even or not even, neat at the edges. All right, there is our pocket sewn closed at the bottom. Now we'll move on to the next step. Our pocket is sewn closed at the bottom, so now we're going to get everything else folded up and sewn together. So go ahead and fold your pocket back up and get it lined up here. Along your main body and clip it back in place. So here we have our pocket folded up. It's folded right here so that our pocket meets up with the bottom of our interior piece on both sides. Whoops, let me scooch that on just a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to sew around our wallet. So we're going to start down here at this corner. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. So we're going to start down here at this corner. We're going to sew up the side, and then very carefully we're going to sew around our silhouette. We want to make sure we get into these tips here. Okay, sew around, and then we're going to sew back down this side, stopping about 1/8 of an inch or so away from the bottom. You should kind of meet up with these here. If you don't, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You don't have to make sure you do that. But as you're sewing back down, you want to make sure that your pocket piece here is nice and flat, that it doesn't get squished as you're sewing back down this side. All right, so let's go over to the sewing machine and get our wallet sewn together. Okay, so let's get our wallet sides sewn together. This first portion is going to be your thickest portion. You're going to be going through 5 layers. So if your machine doesn't handle thicker layers as well, make sure you go nice and slow here. If you need to hand crank it, go ahead and do that. Leave a long tail here at the beginning and the end. Be careful as you come up here to your zipper, because you're going to get a little bump here from where your zipper ends, where your zipper tape ends here. And then when you get to your edge here, you want to make sure you go nice and slow. All right, there we have our side sewn and around the top here. An optional portion is to sew a little bit of the sound hole. I like to sew just kind of down this straight edge here and here, just to give it a little bit of extra support so it doesn't come unglued and start, you know, bending or flapping open. So I'm going to sew while I'm sitting here this edge here and this edge here. I'm not going to sew all the way around. You are welcome to sew all the way around, but I feel like this here and here is enough to keep everything in place. Okay, so now I'm going to get all these threads pulled through and tucked away, and we'll move on to our final step. All right, we have our sides sewn and we have this little bit of stitching around our sound hole. Our last step is to get our snaps put in. So these are going to be the female ends of the snaps, and they're going to go right up here through both layers. So I'm going to step over to my press and get those in, and I'll be right back. Okay, we have our snaps in, and our Melody wallet is complete. I hope you enjoyed making this wallet. If you have any questions, send me a message or an email, and I'd be happy to help you with them. Thanks.